No. Caper.
That's pretty bad.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dogs Decoded. Today we're meeting a terrier that has decided that he just wants to eat anything that moves is fair game. The owner is, and this, we see this so often. Owners mistake consequences for punishment. They think that if the dog gets a consequence and changes its behavior, if it's not excited anymore, it must be depressed. And that's not what's happening. Yes, there's a shift. The dog, we need to change that excitement to a calm, balanced behavior. And so it can look at first like the dog's depressed, but it's just reframing how it sees itself in the environment and how it sees the environment. So it can be a little bit of an adjustment, and this owner is very in tune with that. The owner is very worried that because her dog changed so drastically that the dog's traumatized. In case you haven't noticed, I do have a bird attached to me. This is Sunshine. Every once in a while you'll hear her chirping in the back. Today she insisted, since I'm not working today, that she should be hanging out with me. So hopefully she's not too distracting. But this is Sunshine. Hi, Sunshine. You say hi to everybody? All right. Anyways, hopefully she won't be too much of a distraction. So let's get into it. As usual, I'll be stopping the video and explaining what I'm seeing, trying to decipher for you what's happening with the dog and with the methods. And let's just keep this moving. So here we go.
I think you need a little bit of help here. Just a little bit.
Just a little. My name is Leanne, and I have a very naughty Lakeland Terrier named Caper. I got Caper.
Okay, so before we go too far, I just want to stop just at that one clip there when Cesar jumped in. Notice how the dog was in front of her, it was lunging at everything. It was extremely excited. Again, I'm going to put my clip in here right now, which is that my Dogs Decoded scale 0 to 5. This dog is at a 5. If it could go higher, it would be higher. And so I'm going to put that clip in here, and then I'm going to come back and we'll keep going. So just bear with me here for a sec. So I just want to explain my scale. This is a scale that I use when I'm assessing dogs when I go to a client's place. So 0, level 0, they're sleeping, they're out cold, not a problem. Level 1, they're resting, they're awake, they're kind of watching what's going on. Maybe they're doing a gentle pant. Nothing, no, they're not participating. They're not following us around. They're not doing any of that. They're just laying there watching. Level 2, now they're walking around, they're sniffing, they're panting, they're playing with toys respectfully. They're still not getting in our way. They're not bugging anyone. They're with us, being part of the family. Level 3, now they're starting to get excited. Okay, so now we're getting more of a fast tail wag, bodies wagging. Maybe they're whining. They're attention seeking. They're taking, if you've got a dog that likes toys, he's bringing those toys, he's squeaking them really loud, or he's bringing them to you and demanding your attention. And he's unable to settle at this point. So you give him a command to go lay down or go settle down, and he just can't. Level 4, now we get into more severe problems. Right now they're jumping, maybe they're pulling on the leash, they're digging, they're chewing on objects that are on the floor, the furniture, they're starting to bark. And keep in mind that they can still do all of these other things in these other levels, right? Like you might still get whining and attention seeking, but this just means that there's more stuff going on. So they're escalating up to almost an unmanageable point now. Level 5 is where we start really seeing major problems, which is, they're destroying your furniture, your house. There's heavy panting sometimes, excessive barking. When you walk, they're scanning for threats. It's growling, snarling, fighting, and possibly fighting with a sibling, another dog in the house, or just overall being a little mischief maker. So that's a very simplified way to look at when I say a dog's at a 2 or a dog's at a 4. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so our goal as the owners or as handlers, we want to keep our dogs between a 0 and a 2. That's the perfect zone, right? if we're out walking, we're taking them for a walk, maybe we're throwing the ball for them, they can start to get into, a 3 a little bit. But we really do want to keep, every time we start seeing our dogs start to get a little bit more excited, we want to ask ourselves, okay, what level are they at? We want to try to keep them at that level. So as soon as we start seeing them rise up, we say, knock it off and settle them back down. It's a lot easier to keep our dogs at a level 2 and correct them just as they get to a level 3 than it is to wait for our dogs to get to a level 5 and then try to get them to a level 1. It just doesn't happen. They're just too far gone at that point. All right, perfect. Okay, so as we could tell, the dog was jumping, it was spinning, it was lunging, it was scanning for threats. It was, the one thing it wasn't doing was being at all connected to the owner, right? The owner was just noise pollution in this dog's radius at that moment. All it was caring about was all of the other distractions, the people on bicycles and the skateboards and the strollers and other dogs, all of that kind of stuff. So right away, she could help by simply getting the dog to be calm before she starts the walk. What ends up happening is people get their dogs excited. Come on, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. They get them all excited. And then by the time they get to the sidewalk, the dog's already, hey, listen, you, the dog's already so excited that it's not balanced. It's not able to just connect with the human on the walk. It's too busy in that excited state, reacting to the environment. Listen, kid, I don't want you going all the way down there. So anyways, let's keep going.
We would be out in a park and another dog.
See, that's a really good position where the dog is there, right? This is what we want to see. The dog's still excited, but at least it's not scanning for threats. It's not lunging and pulling her all over the place. It's actually behind her, which is what we want, or beside her. Ideally, we want them beside us.
Would get involved and he would attack that dog. He chased cars. He would.
I have to ask, why is she allowing that, right? Like, to me, it seems like that's a pretty dangerous behavior, right? And she's just kind of standing there. The dog's, 6 feet away at the end of its lead, up on its hind legs, going for vehicles. The simple solution would be to pull the dog in and have the dog at our side, right? But that's, yeah, that I don't understand why maybe she's just showing for the Cesar interview, what the dog does. But if your dog has that habit of going for vehicles, obviously you wouldn't want to allow the dog to have that kind of lead around traffic, right?
Jump the fence in the backyard to go after dogs walking down the street. If Caper is in the yard when a box comes over, that box is going to be short-lived.
So it is definitely more challenging for dogs when they're behind a fence like this, because they can hear all of this outside stimulation, they can smell it, but they can't see it, and so they tend to get quite frantic. The best way to deal with this, or to prevent this, is to make sure that your dog is calm before you allow them out. Going outside should be for a potty break or to relax out in the the shade. It shouldn't be when they're extremely excited. This is a dog that has so much energy. It's wired right to the top, and then it's going outside with all of this energy, and it's just exploding on whatever it can. It has all this frustration, and all of a sudden this magic box comes over the fence, and so he's taking all of that frustration and excitement and just desperately trying to release it, and he's using the box as his his target.
He destroys them. If it's moving quickly, he is moving after it.
Again, this behavior happens when dogs are allowed to walk ahead of the owner, and so they become the leader. They become, in their mind, they're the protector, right? As soon as dogs are allowed to walk in front of us, it's not just a case of walking in front of us. What we're telling our dog is, okay, you take the lead. And the problem is that most dogs just aren't capable of, they're not wired for it. So they go into this, okay, I'm in the lead. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm just going to assume everything's a threat. And this is a great example of that. This dog is just, he's deemed absolutely every single thing in the environment as a threat. Doesn't matter if it's a vehicle, doesn't matter if it's a skateboard, doesn't matter if it's a baby stroller. He's just going to lunge because in his mind, his job is to protect. And so he's just lashing out at absolutely everything.
There was an incident recently where Caper bit a child. She was around 2 years old. She was walking with her parents, and Caper ran in and bit her. I remember.
Like, why are we allowing this dog to attack the stroller? Again, I'm hoping this is just because I know that the clients have to send in, short videos to Cesar to explain what's going on. But honestly, if you've got a dog that you're working with that has reactivity towards things like strollers, you obviously wouldn't want to even allow them the opportunity to lunge, right? This again all comes down to how excited the dog is and needing to release that frustration on something. So it's at this point it's redirecting all of its frustration on the stroller. What that tells me is this dog is not calm. Because calm dogs, balanced dogs, they don't react like this. They don't lash out. They don't attack stuff. If they're reacting like this to a stroller, what that tells me is that the dog is just so frustrated. It needs something to lash out at, and it picks moving targets, which makes sense. I mean, you look at the breed. This is a dog that is very high energy. They're a hunting dog, right? That's their job is to hunt. And so he's found his target. They just happen to have wheels.
It is not a question of if, it is a question of when Caper is going to do something that has really huge consequences.
See how much excitement this dog has. Like, it's even at the gate as the owner's trying to leave, the dog's lunging at the gate. Like, it's got so much energy. I think this dog needs to go for much longer walks. It has way too much energy. But again, it needs to be taught, just like with I've said in other videos, dogs need to know, they need to be taught to give doors space, to respect doors, to give them a nice bubble. Imagine again that you've got a hula hoop here, right? I usually with clients, I put a piece of tape, about 3 or 4 feet away from the door, and teach your dog to stop at the tape, right? That helps both the owner and the dog because there's a visual there. This is where the line is, don't cross it. And then you can obviously work on getting the dog calm at that point. But this dog is just, he's just desperate. He's frantic. He's doing everything he can. Anyways, yeah, this dog is just, it's never been taught to be calm. It's never been taught to be balanced. It has just lived in this excited state, and it feels that this is its normal.
Whether that is someone being hurt, whether that is me being sued, and possibly someone requiring that Caper be put to sleep.
And that's the sad thing. That's the reality. Is like it kind of bothers me that her fear is, being sued and everything. My fear is the dog. I don't care if the owner gets sued. I worry about the dog, because the automatic default is if the dog bites, the dog has to be put to sleep, right? And this dog is not biting because it hates people or it hates kids or it just has all this frustration, and it doesn't know how else to behave. This is 100% on the owner, right? I don't mean to sound mean, but if a dog doesn't have boundaries, if it doesn't have rules and limits, it has to try to manage that on its own. And so this is a dog that has never been taught what rules, limits, and boundaries are.
The first thing when you have so much excitement is actually just to slow it down a little bit. Obviously, he's on a high level, but then you're in a high level of tension.
Right. So that's what I was saying about the dog is just at that level 5 excitement. So it has no way of being able to understand anything, right? It would be the equivalent to if you were in the middle of a race, you're running as fast as you can in the middle of a high stakes race, and then somebody starts trying to give you instructions on how to assemble a shelf. You're not able to focus because you're 100% adrenaline at that point. That's what the dog is living its life at all the time. And what Cesar's saying is we have to calm the dog down first. We have to lower its energy before we can really do any kind of behavior modification, because when the dog is that heightened, it's not going to understand what we're trying to, it's not even going to hear what we're trying to say.
It's my life.
Oh, okay, well, let's go for a little walk. Let's bring the skateboard. So he wants to attack it.
Yes.
So first I'm gonna...
And this is a learned behavior, right? So the dog's learned that this is a safe thing to attack, because in his mind, every time he sees one, he's being allowed to lash out. He's never been corrected for lashing out at it. He's been allowed to follow through and go through the motions. So in his mind, this is a perfectly legitimate target to go after. What Cesar's doing now is reconditioning him by saying, hey, I'm going to show him the skateboard, and then I'm going to give them the correction so he understands that this is no longer a target. This is off limits now.
I'm gonna just walk with it, and slowly I'm gonna put him in the ground. We'll come back. So what I'm doing is desensitizing. Having it right next to him. Look.
Like, look at how quickly he's already starting to slow down. He's already starting to realize, okay, I'm not allowed to go after the target. What I love about this dog is that he's so smart, and he catches on really quick. As soon as there's a rule, he's like, oh, cool, I got it. And he's very willing to live within the perimeter that is being set for him. And that, again, reinforces my initial thought, which is that this dog has never been taught rules or boundaries or limits. He's just kind of been allowed to run the show.
Let him experience it.
See, and by doing this, I love that the dog took a step back, which is what we want. We want to see them, when dogs step away from the objects that they're trying to attack, that is them signaling, okay, I submit, I give up, right? There's no big gong show. There's no, nothing bad has happened to this dog at all. All Cesar's done is said, hey, this is no longer something that you're allowed to attack. And the dog says, okay, I got it now. Now I know what the rules are.
Hey. Hey.
I love this little dog. I mean, it is very common that, and this is, okay, you're getting ahead of yourself. A lot of times owners, when they do the correction and the dog listens and then instantly goes back to the old behaviors, they go, see, it doesn't work. This is where follow through is key, right? It's repetition. It's going through the motions over and over, and so that the dog relearns how to associate the skateboard or the target that he's going after. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in one session. Yes, we can see drastic changes very quickly. We're already seeing it here, but it will take time. And the thing is, dogs are like kids. They test us, right? So he will do this with Cesar, and then he might go back and still try to do this with the owner, because he wants to say, okay, this rule applies when Cesar's walking me, but what about when mom's walking me? What about when the neighborhood kid's walking me? So sometimes it can take 2 or 3, 4, 5 sessions to really solidify the new agreement that we have made between this dog and its target. Right? It needs to associate the target with something other than, free game.
People responded to my corrections very well, but I needed to see how you do when the skateboard is moving. Right next to us. Just roll it right there.
See that little bit of a yawn and a lip lick? That's the dog basically trying to release the tension in its jaw. Dogs, when they're stressed, they hold the tension right in the jaw here. So very often we see that when dogs are stressed and they're trying to release that stress, they yawn, they do lots of lip licking, which is them self-soothing, trying to calm themselves down. These are really good signs. This is what we want to see, because now the dog is actually trying to self-adjust. Instead of the human making the dog self-adjust, the dog is actually starting to do it on its own, that's perfect. That's what we want to see.
This is good. This is really good.
I love that he's ignoring the skateboard here. This is perfect. Don't get me wrong. Listen, bird, stop. The dog still knows the skateboard's there, but he's ignoring it. He's avoiding it, which is what we want. We want them to get to the point they have to go through this. They're going to cycle through everything, right? So this is one of those stages where he's just saying, okay, I'm not allowed to attack it. I'm just going to pretend like it's not there. He knows it's there. Eventually he'll get to the point where he won't have to actively ignore it anymore. It'll just be a part of the walk. It'll just be a part of the scene. But for right now, because he doesn't know exactly what he's supposed to do, his reaction is just to try to ignore it, pretend it's not there.
There you go. Hey. Really good.
That's awesome. Like, you can't ask for better than that. That's the dog 100% submitting, saying, you know what? I give up. I'm not quite sure what you want from me, but I'm just going to ignore the skateboard. I'm just going to relax. So that's a huge win for the dog. That's great.
Okay, here they come.
You see the concern on the owner's face already. Like, she doesn't quite understand what's happened. Why is the dog all of a sudden not reacting? Because in her narrative, right, what's happened so far in her life is every time this dog's been around a skateboard, it's attacked. Now all of a sudden the dog's, not only is it not attacking the skateboard, but it's ignoring the skateboard. And she's concerned because she thinks the dog's traumatized.
Just don't say anything. Just walk in, join us. Let's keep going on a little walk.
So his tail is under. He seemed afraid when Cesar.
Okay, so a few things here. First of all, the dog's tail was not tucked, right? Yes, it was lower. A great way to kind of assess a dog's excitement level is how high that tail is. When a dog's, straight up like that and rigid or wagging really, really, really fast, that's a dog that's at peak excitement. As dogs calm down, their tail starts to just naturally go down. He's not tucked. If this dog was genuinely scared, if it was traumatized as she fears he is, the tail would be tucked right in between the legs. His bum would be clenched. His whole back end would be tense. That's not what's happening. The tail is just lowered. He's not as excited anymore. He's feeling more comfortable now, and he's lowering the tail. But unfortunately, this owner sees it and automatically thinks that the dog's traumatized, that the dog's scared, that the dog's depressed or sad. And this is what happens. I see it all the time with owners where because they see such a transformation in the dog, such a shift, they automatically assume that the dog must be feeling discomfort. Well, no, actually, for the first time in this dog's life, it's actually feeling relaxed. Like it doesn't have to be excited. It doesn't have to be tense, anxious, or on guard. It can just relax and be a dog, which is what our dogs want. They want to be balanced.
Brought him back. He seemed very afraid, and that made me nervous for what had happened.
So you can see how he's pulling back. He's definitely more respectful of the skateboard now, and he doesn't know quite yet how to behave around it. He knows he's not allowed to lunge anymore. He knows if he lunges at it, he's going to get a correction, but he doesn't quite know how to just be with the skateboard yet, right? That takes time. That takes consistency. That takes follow through. Every time they do this and he walks with the skateboard and nothing happens, the dog will start to naturally feel more comfortable with it.
So I'm definitely out of my comfort zone.
If he's afraid, how do you feel?
I don't want him to live a fear-based life. I don't want him to be aggressive, but I also don't want him to be anxious.
That one phrase that she used was a real trigger for me when I first heard it. I don't want my dog to live a fear-based life. We're not trying to create fear in the dog. That is not at all what's happening. What we're trying to do is show this dog that it doesn't have to live a reactive life. Honestly, this dog has lived so far up until this moment in a very fearful state, in a very reactive state, in a very guarded state. Those are not healthy conditions to be in. Could you imagine living your whole life like you were running a marathon? That would, I mean, you're just going, 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 going. You can't reset. You can't settle down. You can't calm down because you don't know how. For the first time in this dog's life, it's somebody is saying, hey, you can just relax. You don't have to be on guard anymore. The owner automatically assumes that must mean the dog's depressed or scared, but really it's just the dog being, for the first time in its life, letting its guard down.
You said we don't want fight, so right now you're seeing a flight.
And yes,
And it goes away, that's my point.
that's the part I haven't ever experienced. I only know him being
Aggressive.
or anxious and scared.
There you go.
See, and this is where owners assume that consequences are bad, that somehow, we're punishing the dog, but we're not. This is not about fear. We're not trying to create fear in the dog. Yeah, it can look like the dog's being fearful at first. That is just natural. That as it cycles through each stage of the process, it goes through that feeling, and then it says, okay, well, there's nothing to be scared of. It moves on to the next one. It moves on to the next one. It's just natural for them to cycle through that. But I just want to stress that this is such a common thing that owners, especially owners like this one that are worried about the whole fear-based training. This dog has not. We saw the video. This dog was in no way traumatized. He was corrected and he was shown how to behave. He was never, ever traumatized.
Now I get Caper, probably his first correction ever. He got a little confused, so instead of attacking, he actually moved away from the skateboard. That is flight.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we would expect, right? Like I said a minute ago, he doesn't know how to behave now with the skateboard. In the past, he thought his job was to attack and to lunge at the skateboard. Now all of a sudden somebody is saying, nope, new rules. Yeah, it feels a little awkward in the beginning until they realize what the new relationship is and what's expected of them. He's just trying to figure out what to do now, right? He has to replace that behavior with something. And since lunging and attacking it is no longer an option, it's going to take him a little bit to figure out what is the right option.
I do not have calmness with Caper because I'm terrified of what will happen.
I get it, but I'm just
But
telling
now
you.
you're showing me that there's the possibility for the future for it not to be a danger to himself and others.
Because the miracle is.
And that's true. I mean, I think sometimes owners just need to see the full picture, right? Sometimes if they only see little glimpses, they react before they've seen what the full image is supposed to be. What bothers me is when I get those owners that are like, oh, no, this isn't for me, and they leave before they've seen the full image. Because and you hear this a lot where people, when they refer to fear-based training, and they think that we're traumatizing the dog or we're scaring the dog into submission. No, that's just all part of the process. So not all dogs react like that, but the majority of them do kind of cycle through the different emotions until they feel comfortable with the new relationship.
That sounds like
you need support, because you can't do it by yourself. It's not fair to ask you to do something by yourself. It's not fair.
I like that he says that, because right now she still feels like the consequence is a negative thing, and so she's not going to feel comfortable following through. And if she doesn't feel comfortable following through, if she feels anxious about what she's doing, the dog is going to pick up on that. And that's going to work as a disadvantage in the long run, because the dog's going to feel like, okay, my human is unsure of this, so I must be unsure. And what we need is for the owner to feel so confident in what she is asking of the dog that the dog's like, oh, okay, this is natural. This is okay. My human feels okay about it. I'm okay with it.
Caper.
Oh, brother.
Oof. So you can see all that energy, right? It's just this big explosion, because the dog has never been taught how to respect the door, and it's never been taught to be calm when people come. or when somebody knocks or rings the doorbell. So it's doing exactly what it thinks it needs to do, which is to guard and to protect and to alert everyone that there's an imposter on the area.
So here, this is when you connect. Hey.
So what Cesar's doing here is he's disagreeing with the excitement. Every time the dog vocalizes or jumps, he's giving a correction because he's trying to get the dog to calm down and just show calmness when somebody comes to the door. This is a learned behavior. This dog has gone its whole life thinking that every time the doorbell goes, I have to explode. Now Cesar comes in and says, no, we're going to change it. From now on, when you hear that doorbell, I want you to be calm. So he's going to disagree. Every time the dog gets excited or shows excitement, he's going to give a correction for that.
I'm not okay with that.
He corrected the spin because, again, that spin is just another level of excitement. It's just another way for the dog to try to explode. And so he's, again, disagreeing with that because it's a level of excitement that we don't want. We want him to be calm. I will agree with you when you're being calm, and I will disagree with you when you're being excited.
So before I open the door, sit down. Stay.
There. See, and that's perfect. That's what you want, right? The follow through is what's important. A lot of people forget that. They'll do a correction. They'll say, no, whatever. They'll give a correction, but they don't follow through. The follow through happens when the dog actually sits or lays down and submits to the exercise. The correction is great, but if there's no follow through, you're just correcting. You're not actually teaching the dog.
Before I open the door, I have to make sure my dog is already in a better state of mind so I can go meet my guest.
You notice he wasn't yelling or talking or doing anything like that. He stayed very calm, very methodical. He just went around. Every time the dog barked or jumped or did anything that he disagreed with, he gave a correction. And then when he was ready to go to the door, he followed through by saying, okay, I'm going to go to the door now. I want you to sit. So from now on, you hear that doorbell, you need to be calm. And when I go to the door, you're going to sit and wait.
Once they start doing this thing right there, you got to be careful because they can redirect that. That's when they go and bite whatever they have available.
No dancing.
No dancing.
Yeah, a lot of people think that spin is a dance or, it's cute, but it's not. It's just another way for them to try to release that frustration because they are so wired. Bert, it's really hard to take me seriously when you're looking at me upside down. Do I look that funny to you? I see you. I guess you guys can't really see her. She's like laying on her back, staring at me. She just wants belly rubs. That's good. I like that she's doing that, but this is important, okay? That we make, that sound that we make is a reminder. It's not the correction. The correction is reaching in and actually tapping or interrupting the behavior that we're trying to interrupt or correct. As your dog gets better, like I can't remember last time I ever had to give any of my dogs a correction, right? I do that and they're like, oh, okay. And they instantly stop whatever it is that they're doing because they already know the rules. So every once in a while, sometimes they get excited and they forget. They get a little reminder and they're fine. She's doing the but she's not following through with a correction. So it's good. Don't get me wrong. She's almost there. It's just it could be so much more effective if she actually followed through with a correction.
Hi, Leon. How are you?
He's running away from me.
Oh, who? Your boyfriend?
See, that's perfect. That's what we want. That's a follow through. So she's saying, hey, I want you to be calm now. Just relax. And by making him sit, she's actually showing him, this is what I want from you. I want you to actually sit and just wait right now.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
Well, as long as people don't mind waiting.
Well, you know, why would I mind waiting when
She brings up a good point, and this happens with most clients when they're first starting to work with their dogs. They're like, yeah, but people aren't going to sit here and wait all day while I work with my dog. Put a sign up on your gate or on your door that just says, hey, I'm working with my dog. It might take me an extra minute or two to answer the door. That will take the stress off of you and that pressure off of you to have to race to the door right away. And it also lets people know that you are actually working with your dog. So just to be patient and wait.
Hi, Betty.
Right there. You can ask him to stay. There you go. There you go.
Is that okay that he
Oh,
went?
fantastic.
See, that's awesome, right? Like, the dog's already gone from in the beginning when it was lunging and jumping and so excited and attacking everything and barking at everything to, oh, okay, I have to be calm now. Right? He came out, he acknowledged Cesar. He's like, oh man, that guy gives me rules. And turned around and walked back away. That's great. That's what we want.
So that becomes a boundary. This is a fence for boundary purposes. But it's not upset.
No, he's totally fine. I get it. I was really worried about scaring kids.
You have that happy little tail wag. Like, this dog is perfectly content now. No fear, no trauma, right? He's just like, okay, I can breathe. I can just be a dog. I don't have to be on guard all the time.
Caper, but now I see he's just calm. I've been the scared one, but I'm working on it.
The homework, the walk, just walk around, just to be around what you normally avoid. You know, stroller.
It's really important to find things to challenge our dogs. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is just human nature. When something triggers our dogs, we tend to want to avoid those triggers so that we don't have to go through the trauma or the stress of whatever it is that the dog is focusing on. But we actually have to do the opposite. We have to find those things and use those as training opportunities. The more times we expose our dogs and teach them how to behave, the less they're going to need those reminders. It just becomes part of the ritual for them.
How we doing? How we doing?
I'm a little nervous.
Okay, boy.
We're working on that one.
He really wants that skateboard.
Mm-hmm.
He wants it.
I wish that I noticed that you're going to see this in the next few clips here, that she does this thing where she scruffs the dog and pulls him off. She's trying to be gentle, and Cesar, he's trying to build up her self-confidence, so he's not really saying anything about it, but he actually says he likes it. And I'm not a huge fan of the whole scruffing and pulling the dog off, because I think it's too gentle. It's not giving a correction. It's just trying to pull the dog away from the object, and that's not a correction. He's still fixated on it. So what would have been better in that example that we just saw is an actual correction where you say no and get the dog to take a step or two back away from the skateboard, and just stick with it until the dog does it. You might have to do 2 or 3 or 4 corrections until the dog finally gets it. But eventually he'll get to the point where he says, I have to give this thing space, and he'll do it on his own. That's when the learning happens. That's when the magic happens, when they actually give the object space themselves. If we just pull them away, they don't get the assignment. They don't understand the lesson.
Very good. I like that.
See what I mean? So he sat and he looked at her, but then he immediately went right back, because there was no correction. There was no negative feedback given, right? In his mind, he was just moved away from the target, but he wasn't told, no, you're not allowed to attack this target. And just to be clear, you look at wild dogs or wolves or whatever, they're not afraid to give a correction when a correction is needed, right? If a dog is behaving in a way that's not approved by the pack, it is not uncommon to see one dog wheel around and bite another dog, or give a correction that some people might think is mean or cruel, but it isn't. It's just one dog giving a correction to another dog, and in this case we have to take that place of the other dog and give a correction. It doesn't have to be mean, it doesn't have to be severe, but it has to be loud enough, not loud, but a strong enough correction that the dog actually says, oh, okay, I'm not allowed to do that.
You're asking him to look at you before you actually touch the skateboard. That was really good. Yeah.
So again, she let the dog rush right out instead of like we saw earlier where you know, as soon as the package, as soon as you hear somebody at the door or the package, she should have got the dog to stay calm, sit, and wait, and then only then she opens the gate and comes through. But because she didn't follow through, she didn't get the dog to be calm first before she opened that gate, the dog just shot right past her and went for the box.
Oh, yeah. That's the caper I know.
See what I mean? Again, she does this whole scruffing thing where I guess she feels like this is she doesn't say it, but in her mind, she thinks this is a more gentler approach, but it's not going to teach the dog in the long run, unfortunately.
This, what she's doing right here, is really good.
No, I don't think it's that good. I think I see why she's doing it, but she's simply removing the dog from the box, and the dog is not learning how to behave with the box.
This is really good.
That's awesome. So there's our follow through, and you see the dog took it, what, 2-3 steps back there? Perfect. That's what we want. The dog says, okay, you want me to stay here and be calm. Got it. Message received. That was a perfect. Couldn't ask for better.
This is really good right there. There you go.
See, and if she had done that before that very first time when she opened the gate, this is what would have happened. But because she didn't follow through, she didn't get the dog to sit and relax first, she just opened the gate and the dog rushed through and immediately went for the box. So it was already excited by the time it got to the box. Perfect. Awesome. Nice follow through. She told the dog what she wanted. When the dog didn't listen, she immediately went in and she said, hey, this is what I want from you. Perfect.
You're gone from a dog that is definitely not an easy case to handle, but you managed to go into a surrender state. And now,
yeah, she's definitely on her way. I think that, again, like I said, Cesar has to build. He's not just working with the dog, he's working with the human, right? And so because she came so fearful and so worried about the consequences thing, he has to build her confidence up. The problem is that if she continues to just do the scruffing thing and moving away, the dog's never actually going to learn. But the goal here is that as she gets more confident, hopefully, and she starts seeing that the follow through is working, she'll start relaxing a little bit, realizing that corrections aren't bad. Corrections are not a negative thing that we have to be worried our dogs are going to never recover from. They're simply a tool that teaches them how to behave and how to reset. Anyways, guys, that is the end. That's they're just doing the closing thing that they always do here. So I'm going to end the episode before this bird chews my hand anymore. Where is she? She's just ripping my thumb apart here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I certainly enjoyed this episode. It was a fun one, and baby bird certainly had fun. Hey, show everybody. Are you Batbird? Are you Batbird? Show everybody how you're Batbird. Yeah, sometimes you're a bad bird, but right now you're a Batbird, right? Anyways, guys, thanks. Until next time, keep walking those dogs, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.